Hi, I'm Lippy.
And I'm Grumpy. Together we're Lippy and Grumpy Do Podcasting.
In this episode, welcome to a new listener, the Pizza ATM, Bond films, steep streets, and another long Lippy top tip.
Now, Lippy.
Hello.
Last episode you had an ongoing internet woe.
I did.
Is it fixed?
Well, it depends what you mean by fixed.
Are we going to have to mess around? Or am I going to have to mess around joining audio files together this evening?
No, you shouldn't have to, because it's fixed in the sense of the upload speed is better. Good. I wouldn't necessarily say it's fixed in the fact that Virgin did it.
Okay, so how has it been fixed then if they've not touched it?
The Duck Whisperer bought a mesh.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, a mesh. So we have a mesh thing in the kitchen, the central point of the house, and another one somewhere else. Well, this is the first proper test, to be honest, to see if this has worked well, and it seems to be working absolutely fine. So the mesh is a success.
What brand is it?
A little white box with a light on the top.
Okay. All right, well, maybe I'll quiz the Duck Whisperer when I next see him.
Yes. But it was not too hard to install from the lack of swearing involved. It was one or two swear words, but not too many, so that means it wasn't too hard to set up.
Yeah, generally they're very good. We've had one it's the consumer division of Ubiquity, which produce extremely good Wi-Fi kit. And they installed it up at the golf club when you were there. And it works brilliantly. But the business stuff, or the commercial stuff, is very expensive. And the retail stuff is less expensive, but it's not quite as good. But we've got the retail stuff here, and it's performed faultlessly for 2 years.
Yeah, so it's definitely...
So it's better, but not quite there yet.
Well, it's better, but we're still not paying for what we should be getting from Virgin.
Well, you're not getting what you're paying for.
We're not getting what we're paying for from Virgin. Although we might be, because they're giving us £5 back until
that doesn't sound enough, to be honest.
Issue, but yeah. And also, I realised earlier today that the Duck Whisperer also managed to get out of calling Virgin this weekend because he installed all of this.
That's just paying some money and avoiding to talk to somebody.
Yeah, so he still needs to call them. I'm still going to make him call them.
Definitely needs to be a bit of a rant. But I am pleased to say, looking at the dashboard, you're uploading at 98%, which is much better than...
99%. Oh, no, back down to 90%.
Yeah, we won't give a running commentary on the amount. Now, over the last couple of weeks, we've spoken about my peeve with number plates being wonky.
Yes.
I have found somebody that's taken it to a whole another level.
Oh.
Now, as old people, or older people, will remember, number plates have gone through a number of different styles over the years. So when I was lad, we had a metal number plate with plastic embossed letters stuck onto it.
Yeah.
So they were quite complicated to make. And prior to that, they were essentially black and white. So there wasn't a yellow and white colour denoting which end of the vehicle it should be on. So there's some fairly clearly defined changes in the law, and generally historic vehicles will have the correct black and white or yellow and white number plates on them. However, it turns out that in 2001, the number plate font changed. So it's Yes, the font changed. So it's slightly narrower, and some of the letters, B and D in particular, were slightly differently made. So they look more like a serif font, whereas previously it was a sans serif font. There wasn't any tail on the B and the D.
Oh, I see, yes.
The reason for that is that we needed to get in the flag on the left-hand side, or optionally the flag with GB, and now, would be UK on there, to satisfy Europe. So they had to scrunch it up a bit. Now, the individual here, he relays his story at the Festival of the Unexceptional, which is a car show once a year, and it is models of cars that we all grew up with. So you haven't got Jags or Lamborghinis or anything flash. It's just ordinary cars that have survived 30, 40, 50 years. And I've been once. It's a brilliant show, and it's just a bit of nostalgia, really. Anyway, so he's talking to an owner of a Renault Twingo, which is a car that he's long coveted. And he mentioned that the number plate font was correct. And the owner said, "Oh, you noticed that too. I thought I was the only one that cared for such things." So there's at least two people. And unfortunately, it has now started have we got the right fonts on the classic cars we have?
And have you?
I don't know, because I've got to go and unzip them from the covers and go and have a look.
From their bubbles.
From the bubbles. But I will get one out at the weekend, so I shall have a look. However, there is a bit of a sting in the tail here. One of the reasons the number plate font was changed is to make it easy for the ANPR cameras to identify the car. So whilst you might think, well, actually, if I mix the letters, if I make it wrong, I'm not going to get stopped for speeding or fined for speeding. It does also mean that if your car is stolen, then they won't detect it. So to be honest, the cars that we've got tend not to be able to go over the speed limit.
Yeah.
Although I just found the piece of paper from Oxford County Council showing me in a bus lane a year or so back. So,
a year or so. I was going to say.
No, not
naughty.
Recently. No, that was Wife of Grumpy's fault and her astonishing map reading. So just as you think you've taken something to a bit of an extreme with number plates, somebody else comes along and it turns out you haven't.
Yeah.
Now, we've got a new listener, apparently.
We do.
We have two listeners, because the Horse Whisperer, to use the correct name, Horse Whisperer, who is unfortunately suffering from a horrendous tooth infection at the moment, looks a bit like a chipmunk, but don't tell her.
Well, I was told about this, and I was told that I wasn't allowed to request a picture because mocking someone that's in pain isn't funny, but mocking someone that's in pain is what I do.
Well, I get mocked for all sorts of physical injuries.
Exactly. Okay, I'm going to ask for a picture then, because I really want to see what she looks like. I've heard it's funny.
I think it is beginning to go down. The problem is you look at it at night, and because of the light, it looks a bit flatter, and the next morning it seems to be sticking out. But I think
shadows.
She's got to have a tooth out, which is not ideal. Yeah.
No. Well, it is her second toothache in a year. It wasn't that long ago that she had the other one.
It possibly was longer than that, but I can't remember.
Who knows with what's been going on? The years are flying by.
Anyway, back to our original new listener.
Yes,
Christened Graphic Goffers. No, Graphic Godders.
Yeah.
Put it wrong on the show notes. What a muppet. Graphic Godders. Please explain.
To be honest, you came up with this name, and the first thing I thought when I saw it was, that kind of makes out like he's a bit of a flasher. That's not what he is. No. He is the Duck Whisperer's friend, and he created our absolutely beautiful wedding invitations and is very good with all the graphic-y things. So hence why you gave him the name Graphic Goddess. But he apparently is a new listener, listened to last week's episode and has subscribed. So
fantastic. We could be in double figures soon at this rate.
We could be in double figures.
So it's Graphic Goddess, it's good to have you along. And you did a cracking job with the wedding invites. I thought they were beautiful, so well done there. So, yes, maybe we can push some work your way. Who knows?
He's a very busy man.
Yeah, okay, well, drop everything and do what we want. I had a book recommendation by the Screaming Tomato during the week of failures that turned out to be successes. So things like the Post-it notes and the glue on there, and accidental discoveries. So that's on its way. I typically ordered a second-hand one, so it'll take a week or so to come. So I might do a section on that now instead of the fun facts.
Yes, that would be quite funny.
Good. Yeah, right up my street. So thank you for recommending that. I look forward to reading that. Now, something that's always baffled me over decades is some very unusual signs on public toilets. And this tends to happen in pubs and restaurants where there's a bit of a theme. And we had one in the town I grew up in. And to this day, I'm still confused about whose was whose.
It's stressful.
I find it quite stressful. And I'm somebody that's ended up in the ladies' toilet at Gatwick by mistake. And the problem was, I think the door was pushed open and I saw the sign, and as I approached the toilets, but the sign applied to the toilets on the left, and I actually went to the toilets on the right. So it was a bit of stupidity on my part, probably nervousness, because I'm not the best flyer in the world.
Not the best flyer.
And I stood in there, and this lady came out. She said, "I think you're in the wrong place." And it's the only time I've come out with a coherent French sentence. I thought it was the only excuse possible. It was pretending to be foreign. And I apologise to all of France for that. Not only for the outrageously bad accent, but also pretending to be French. However, there is a webpage, of course, there's a webpage for everything. And there is a list of some very, very weird signs on gender toilets. The one that caught my eye the most. So on the gents' toilet, and I assume it's the gents' toilet because not quite clear, it says blah. And on the ladies' toilet, it says blah, 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 blah. Which is probably a bit sexist, actually. But
that is a bit sexist.
Fairly accurate.
Sexist?
That as well. There's also one, you know how much I like pirates.
Yes.
Got a pirate, but there were quite a few pirates who were ladies and a mermaid. But they have clarified it with men and women on the bottom of the side.
Oh, that
as
is
well,
good.
Which is good. So a bit of fun is okay, but I think you need to be clear.
You do need the clarification. I'm a nervous toilet person in public. I'll happy go to the toilet in public. Not public, in a public toilet.
Yeah.
Clarify that. But when I'm in a restaurant, I really hate that whole trying to find the loo where you don't know where the loo is.
Yes.
I hate it. I feel like it's a fear for most people, to be honest. And then throwing in door signs like that does not help that fear, because I'm stood there outside the loos, like looking backwards and forwards, like, which one do I go in? And I feel like for men to go in the wrong one, you get a bit shooed and a bit like, oh, what have you done? You got in the wrong loo. For a woman to go in the wrong loo, you could see all sorts of things that you don't want to see.
That is true. However, I have had more experiences in the past where there's been a long queue for the ladies and no queue for the gents, of women just bypassing the queue and going straight into the gents.
Yeah, that's a woman that doesn't care, though. I don't want to walk in and see some people using a urinal.
No, that's very true.
They've made that decision, and they may have been women that have recently given birth and cannot hold their bladder for the length of that queue.
Well, possibly, but if it was the other way around, I think there would be a lot of noise. Quite frankly, and as somebody now that has urgent need to go to the lavatory on occasions, I think that should.
Surely you can use the disabled toilet.
I do, because I am. The other thing I'd like to say about pub toilet signs is that if you've had a few, your cognitive processing is not as good as it should be, and you could stand there going, I don't know which of these I am.
Yeah.
And by which time it's too late.
Because also I've just seen one that says skirts and pants. If I'd had a few drinks and I was wearing trousers, I'm in pants, so I'm going to go in the one that says pants.
Well, what if you're Scottish and you're wearing a kilt? And no pants? Yeah. Because it's a bit bizarre, to be honest, and I think it's something that should stop. People try to be clever and it doesn't work.
Some of them are funny. Some of them are not. You know? Oh, I like the pizza one.
Just looking at that, I don't. I mean, it does say guys and girls above it, but the difference is a pizza with arms and a pizza without arms. I mean...
No, it's not arms, it's a moustache.
Oh, we're not looking at the same one then.
Where it says men to the left because women are always right.
Oh, yes, clearly. No,
exactly.
This is much, much further down. It does say guys and girls, but the other difference... I mean, if you couldn't read, for example, or if you were foreign and couldn't read English, you'd be stuck. If that was in German, I wouldn't stand a chance.
No, although I really enjoyed the one that's an illustration of how people wee.
Ooh, no, right.
It's a bit confusing, but...
Time to move on, I think. It's just horrible.
Taking it too far.
Yes, so pubs, please don't. Just men and women, that's all you need. Now, some weeks ago, it was a good few weeks ago, we spoke about a pizza vending machine in Italy. Yes. I think it was Rome, but I'm not 100% certain. Turns out one's been launched in Brighton.
No.
It has. Rather typically, this has not got the finesse of an Italian vending machine. It looks like a very small shipping container with a step, basically. And they've put it as a pizza ATM, and I think that's absolutely right. That's exactly what it looks like. But it serves the same purpose, and it's at the station in Brighton. It's available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and you can order a restaurant-quality pizza from it. There's a robotic arm inside which takes pizzas from a refrigerated compartment, blasts it into a jet oven before serving them piping hot.
I'm thinking I'm coming to stay with you all in a few weeks. I think we need a Lippy and Grumpy road trip down to Brighton to see what they taste like.
That sounds like a really good idea. We could pop down there and meet up with DJ Finn.
Yes.
As he's now down there.
See what their vegan pizza, if they even do a vegan pizza from a vending machine.
They do a cheesy garlic pizza bread, which obviously isn't
not vegan.
There is
you would need a vegan one.
I would, or fish. There is a vegan option as well. So there are several choices. Well,
let's get that booked.
Oh, there's going to be one in Chichester. Oh no, two in Chichester and one in Bognor Regis for some unknown reason. But, yes, that sounds very interesting. You must go and try that. You're right. We'll have a trip down there with lots of photos and sit on the beach with a pizza. Mind you, the station's not that close to the beach.
Well, you could drive to the station, park up, then drive down to the beach.
Parking in Brighton is a nightmare now. Now, this is a slightly odd topic from our long list of, quite frankly, odd topics. So in the 1400s, and I think it must have peaked around the middle of the 1400s, men who had a bit of money would wear shoes with very long bits hanging past their toes. So sometimes you get a 5-inch point past the toes.
Oh, sorry, I thought you meant like tassels. You don't.
No,
you mean
no. This is
like a
shoe.
pointy shoe.
It's a pointy shoe. They were known as Krakows or poulaines. And the reason for that is they're believed to have started around 1340 in Krakow, Poland. So Krakow and Poland, sort of Polands. And this refers to just the tips, so not the rest of the shoes. It got so ridiculous that King Edward IV found them so offensive, he passed a law prohibiting shoe tips that extended by over 2 inches. It just got completely out of hand. Now,
2 inches is still quite a long shoe tip, though.
Well, I'm very conscious because my feet are quite long.
Me too.
I've got big feet, so actually another 6 or 5 inches past the toe would look, quite frankly, ridiculous.
Yeah. Like clown shoes.
They would look like a clown shoe, but they come to a point rather than a sort of a boot
bulge
type thing. Yes. But the reason people had them was a show of wealth. Stuff was expensive because it was hard to make.
So to have more of the shoe meant that you were rich because you could afford more.
Exactly. It's a bit like driving around in a brand new Rolls-Royce Dawn.
I see.
But footwear. So that's where it came from. But obviously, successors of richer people want longer toes because that shows their wealth, which is why it got ridiculous. In this article, though, I have found there is a museum in Northampton called the Museum and Art Gallery. They have the world's largest collection with 12,000 pairs of shoes.
Wow.
Which is incredible. But there's only one pair of these poulaines intact, which is a bit of a shame. Maybe people ripped them up with some disdain when the law was passed.
Cut them off so they could keep the shoe.
Yes. Now, obviously, the longer the point gets, bearing in mind we're talking about the 13 and 1400s here, not modern day, what's going to happen when you lift your foot up? It's going to droop. Which is going to make walking quite treacherous, to be honest, and you'll look a bit silly.
And also, if it droops towards you, it's then going to start looking like a gestures shoe. Do you know when they curl up and then they've got the bell on the end?
I don't think that was the problem. I think it was as you lift your foot up, the end of it starts to fall down.
And then you trip.
So they stuffed them with all sorts of things like hair, moss and wool, and they even experimented with some whalebone in there just to keep it all. Yeah, it begins to get ridiculous.
Yeah. If your tip is too big to stay up on its own, then it's too big.
Absolutely. And then this article goes on about the back of the shoe around the ankle. Now, bear in mind, in those times, most of the body was clothed, partly because it was seen to be a bit naughty, and also because it was a bit chilly as well, didn't have central heating, and that sort of stuff. And beginning to show bits of leg, and one of those things was cutting around the ankle, so the ankle could be seen, which was seen to be a bit sexy.
A bit saucy, showing your ankle off.
So what I found very interesting in all of this is with these ridiculous shoes, which sort of made a bit of a comeback with the winkle picker, which I remember my dad having. And I quite like the look of those, but they just, for my shaped feet, they would be far too uncomfortable. Paris banned these in 1368.
Wow.
And you tend to think of Paris as being the centre of all fashion. And some absolutely ludicrous clothing. But it appears not.
Mm.
Now, I had an interesting experience on Sunday. I'd had a trip over to my mum's, and my sister made some lunch for us. And she came out with some rolls, except they were square. And I initially looked at them and thought, that's not right. Rolls can't be square. The bread was very nice. It was a Warburton's bread. It really was extremely nice. And I could see all of the advantage of a square roll, because in terms of packaging and transport, there's no wasted space. If you put round rolls, the package tends to be rectangular. So you've got a bit of space. And if you put them in a
food
box,
tends to be, like if you do a slice of cheese, it's rectangular. Or
yes, it is. That's very true. Yes, that is very true.
You don't get the saggy bits off the edge.
No, that got us on to talking about whether roll was a round thing or not. So what would your take be on that?
In the sense of a bread roll, I would say it doesn't have to be round, because it's just a roll. But what other kind of roll is there? Well,
the problem is I associate it with a round thing. But actually the word roll is just a small loaf of bread. That's what it... I mean, there's other meanings as well, obviously. But in terms of bread products, it's a small loaf of bread.
That has really bamboozled my brain for a moment there.
That is exactly what happened to me on Sunday. I started thinking about it, and yes,
I think it's because it's something I've never thought about before.
No, I know what you mean. You just looked at it. I mean, it's a bit like if you had
the word roll is round.
Exactly,
but it's not.
It's not. No,
oh,
round things.
Me that.
Yeah, I know. Yes, that's. Yes, that took me a good 20 minutes to recover from that one.
And you decided to tell me whilst we're doing the podcast.
Yes, well, that just brings surprises on people. Mind you, it's been in the show notes since Sunday, so you have had a chance to look at it.
I don't read the show notes.
No, just turn up.
Get more natural reactions that way, like a bamboozled brain.
Yes, which you have now. Yeah. I highly recommend them. They were really nice. Really.
Oh, okay, I'm going to get some of those then. Really. Although I'm an Aldi shopper and they don't sell Warburtons in Aldi.
Oh, don't they?
No,
you had a bit of a shopping trip to, was it Bargain Homes or the
Home
other?
Bargains.
Bargains. It's Bargain Homes if you go through the back door.
That's actually related to my top tip.
Oh, okay, we won't cover that then. Now, surprise discovery last week when I was flicking through Amazon trying to find something to watch, Amazon Prime. All, and I mean all, of the Bond films available included in Amazon Prime.
That is amazing.
Stunning. And I know Amazon bought the rights to show the Bond films a good few months ago now, because I thought, that means we're not going to be able to see them on ITV2 on a Sunday afternoon, which seems to be the case for the last 5 or 6 years. But I'm very pleased to say that all of them, and when I say all of them, I mean also Never Say Never Again, which was, I don't think it was a Broccoli production, where Sean Connery came back and essentially remade Thunderball. And the very first Casino Royale, which was a spoof with David Niven. So those are on there as well, which is good.
And I think I need to see, because I remember watching them when I was a kid, when you would put them on from ITV2 on a Sunday afternoon. But I don't remember all of them. And I think my brain is a bit like mashes them all together.
Yes, I know what you mean.
I saw bits of lots of different ones. So I think I'm going to go back and do a James Bond binge.
Yes. Well, if you think your brain mashes them together, think how we suffer with Wife of Grumpy. Mashing all of them together over what is now nearly 60 years and coming up with a film that doesn't actually exist.
You could write the next James Bond with mashups of all the old James Bonds.
That would be quite funny. Well, essentially, that's what Mike Myers did with Austin Powers, although he did base it on, apparently, on Harry Palmer rather than James Bond. But there's definitely a crossover there. Sunday night, we decided to watch one, and I was keen to start at the beginning in terms of...
Oh, yeah, obviously.
Well, what is the beginning? Because the first film produced is not the first book in the series.
Oh, no, you do it by the order they were meant
written
to be written in, not the order they were created in. Like with the Star Wars, you watch them in the order.
Well, you can do. There's all sorts of ways of doing this. But what that means is the first one, if you ignore the spoof Casino Royale, is the first film that Daniel Craig did.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. And actually, when you watch it, you see the character forming because he starts off with not having 00 status and then gets it.
Being a bit more left to his own.
Yeah, and I've not seen that film for quite a while, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. It was a really good film. It was a very good story, and I think the next one in terms of the books is Live and Let Die, which is a Roger Moore film. So again, that's jumping all of the Sean Connery ones. But actually, there's not that many books that were written by Ian Fleming. So there's more films, I believe. So certainly the...
So you'll reach a point where then you'll have to start just watching the rest of the film.
The order's probably not important. And I think actually past Casino Royale, it's probably not important. Yeah, that was such a great find. And I've not seen anything advertised about it. It's just very quietly appeared, which is surprising, really, because I think that's quite a big...
I do find that with Amazon. You always find like some gem films on there where you think, oh, I haven't watched that in years, or oh my god, that's brand new and it's on Amazon. They just don't seem to advertise much, and it's so hard to search on Amazon.
It is quite hard. I have found a application called Just Watch, which goes on your phone, and you can say which streaming services you subscribe to, and you can do searching across there, so you can see new stuff and popular stuff across all of them. And that's quite useful when you want to watch something and nobody can remember what it's on, because it'll tell you, which is quite good. So Amazon bought MGM Studios, so it's more than just buying the rights to the film, and they paid nearly $9 billion for that. And now they're in MGM. Wow.
They're probably having to wait for them to finish contracts with other streaming services. That's probably why.
Well, that was a year ago nearly, 26th of May.
Yeah, so they have to wait for the...
Well, yeah, but they're on there, so why not advertise it?
Oh, now, yeah.
Yeah, bizarre.
Is the brand new one on there?
I think that's just flipped over to included, because I think we paid to see that originally when it first came out.
We paid to see it as well, because you need to see the new James Bond.
Talking of James Bond and villains, rightly or wrongly, I view Elon Musk as a future James Bond villain.
Yes, he looks so much like all of them.
He does look a bit... Oh, yes, there's a bit of all of them. Yes, if he has a third nipple, we know he's definitely
going to be a villain.
Either going to appear in a film or turn out to be a James Bond villain. So this week, this is Tuesday, so I think it must have happened yesterday, he's spent £35 billion buying Twitter.
He bought Twitter.
He's bought Twitter.
Oh my god.
Question is why, and apparently there's several changes he wants to make, which is reducing content moderation, so free speech, which is an interesting thing, eliminating bots, and he's pledged to defeat the spam bots or die trying.
Do you know what this is giving me the vibes of?
What's that?
The Murdoch family and them owning basically all of American news.
Yes, and there is a James Bond film. I can't remember which one it is. It's a Pierce Brosnan one, and a media mogul is the centre of it. And he says we don't show the news, we are the news. So he chooses what people watch, which is quite worrying, and that is a criticism that has been levelled at him because he has been quite nasty to some of the owners of the press in the past. I'm fairly nonplussed about the whole thing. I'm not really that bothered, but it does.
I just like watching the drama unfold.
Well, I think £35 billion. Could you put that to better use?
Yeah, 100%.
Really, it just seems daft that in this day and age that with all that's going on that you're spending.
That Twitter's the priority.
Well, you're buying it. It's a vanity project, isn't it? Really. Yeah, and the writer at the New Yorkers argues that Musk's bid is an attempt to maintain his ability to influence millions of people without interference. Again, we do have a James Bond film in the making here. Now, we generally like all things Dorset
We do, yes.
The county, the people.
The cake.
The cake in particular. One thing I'm not so keen on is the Dorset Knob.
I don't even know what that is.
Oh, it's a small... It's hard to describe, but you think it's... Well, this is part of Dorset. Their apple cake is superb. The Dorset Knob's going to be wonderful. And it's a bit like you're trying to eat a marble.
Is it cake?
I think
bread?
It's a bread. I think what it was leftover bread at the end of the day when they've made it. They've got a bit of scraggy ends. They'd rolled them up into small balls, probably a little bit smaller than a golf ball, and bake them. But they become so hard that, you're just basically feeding the dentist money. Be breaking teeth all over the place.
Yeah.
So what's the best thing to do with these Dorset Knobs, apart from selling them to tourists who know no better, is to have a throwing competition.
Yes, I do like that.
Yes, it's become too popular though. So for the third year in a row, it's been cancelled because too many people turn up, which is a real shame. So they have various...
How do they know too many people are turning up if it's been cancelled for the last 3 years?
Well, in 2019, they had over 8,000 people turn up, which is a massive amount. When you think that's... With our car show, that's probably the maximum we have in the field at any one time is 8,000 people. It's probably not even close to that, actually.
Okay, yeah, that's quite big then.
It is quite big. So, apart from the throwing, the record is 96 foot, would you believe, set in 2012.
Ooh, that's far.
They also have knob painting, knob and spoon race, guess the weight of the big knob darts, and a knob pyramid. So all things Dorset Knob related.
I would like to go. No wonder it's so busy.
Yeah, but it's supposed to be on the 1st of May, so this weekend, I believe.
This Sunday.
This Sunday, yeah. But unfortunately, it's
cancelled.
Not going to happen. But they're hoping it will come back again. So once people have forgotten about it.
Well, we shouldn't be advertising it on our podcast to our millions of viewers.
No, definitely not. Millions. Yes, don't let Elon Musk know.
No.
Now, for our next item, we go to Bristol, as it's often pronounced, and it's a street there that is the steepest. It's not easy to say. Steepest street in England. So steep that locals tie their park cars to lampposts when it gets icy.
No.
It's 100 metres long, and it's 1 in 20 of gradient, which is...
That is
steep. Very steep. And interestingly, it's on a cycling website as one of 100 climbs to do in the UK.
Wow.
I can't imagine walking up that, let alone cycling up that.
No, I don't think I could do either.
No. And what's interesting, at the bottom of the road is the scrapes where the bottom of cars... And it's on the upside, so presumably when they've turned in and tried to go up, it's scraped something along there, or delivery van or something like that. Very, very steep road. So that's Vale Street in Bristol. And it reminds me a bit, my dad's cousin lived in Deal in Kent, and they had a street a bit like that. It seemed very, very steep. I don't think it was as steep as that, but as a child who's used to living in a flat road, anything that's a bit steep would seem a little odd.
Yes. It's similar to the streets in San Francisco.
Yes, I can imagine. I've never been there, but having seen various films, yeah.
It's very steep. But you do get little respites. They give you little flat bits to have a break on before you have to carry on up.
Yes, I think, is it Bullet, the film with Steve McQueen from the 60s, where he's chasing somebody in San Francisco?
I don't have a clue.
Down and then flat and then down.
Yes, that is how the roads go, though.
One of the world's great car chases. So the locals do make use of the slope. So they have an annual Easter egg race where they go to the top of the hill, armed with an egg, and then roll the egg down the hill to see who's can go the furthest. Which is interesting. You just think they'd all go to the bottom, but presumably they head off.
Eggs are weirdly shaped,
They
aren't
are
they?
weirdly shaped, yeah.
They would roll funny.
Yes, definitely. But that would be quite interesting. But presumably there's smashed eggs all over the road.
Could use a plastic egg.
You could do a plastic egg, but I suspect they're probably hen's eggs.
Eggs.
So if you are in Bristol, it's a 20-minute walk from Temple Meads train station, and if you like a steep road, that's where to go.
I don't like a steep road, so I won't be going there.
No, I don't. Now, Lippy, I know you've got a top tip because you let it
do
slip
have a top
earlier.
tip. Yes, I do have a top tip. A great top tip, may I add. I thoroughly enjoyed myself.
Good.
So my top tip is plain and simply, don't worry, there is a full-on story to go after the plain and simple top tip.
Can it be longer than last week's top tip? That didn't actually have a tip in it. You just ranted about...
I'm not sure. We'll see how we go.
Okay.
We'll see how we go. So the top tip, which is actually a tip, kind of, is to go to Home Bargains and let Home Bargains decide what you buy. Because I had a great time. It's new to where we live. It's the first time I went, even though it's been open for 3 weeks, just because it was busy. And every time I drove past it, I was like, it looks way too busy in the car park. I don't want to have to deal with that. But a time came about where I actually needed something. And I thought, you know what? Home Bargains is the kind of place that would have that. So at the moment, obviously, I don't know if anyone knows, I'm getting married next year.
I think that may have missed us, actually.
Oh, okay, yeah. So I've been making some decorations for the wedding, and I know it's over a year away, but my God, these things take so long. And I was like, I'd rather just do it now and get it done, so it's done.
Can I just point out, actually, it's not over a year away.
Oh, it's under a year away as of last week.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exciting. Less than a year away. So exactly, I need to get this done. So it's a big hula hoop wrapped in twine, which if anyone doesn't know what twine is, it's that brown string looking stuff. So that's wrapped around it to hide the colour of the hula hoop because the colours are very vibrant.
What flavour hula hoop is it?
No, like a dancing hula hoop.
Oh!
Like a round the waist hula hoop.
Oh, okay.
And then some fake foliage and wisteria are hanging on it, and then it's hanging from the ceiling. So I started this project and then realised I did not buy anywhere near enough twine. And I was like, Home Bargains is definitely the kind of place that would have twine. So. Either in their craft section or their gardening section. So it's perfect. Duck Whisperer and I got up, went to Home Bargains, had a proper, we went with time, so we had a proper stroll and a proper nosy down all the aisles. Ended up getting the most random selection of things and no twine.
It was a random selection. I think I've got a photo actually, which I'll
I've
post
got a
on
list
the socials.
of
Even better.
Everything. Yes, I'm going to go through the list. We are going to make this as long as last week. So I'll start with the normal things. We got kitchen foil because we did actually need that. And when we spotted it, we were like, we'll grab some because it's kind of cheap. Batteries, again, we needed them, spotted them. Perfect. Batteries. I then spotted a 15-pack of Capri Sun. Hot day. Nice cold Capri Sun.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah?
Yep.
Bought the Capri Sun. Not too weird. We then bought more mayonnaise because we have a lot of mayonnaise. Light mayonnaise. And they had light mayonnaise as well, which is obviously a bit better for you than normal mayonnaise. So we got light mayonnaise. Then we got squash. Dish soap. And then this is where it started to get a little bit weird.
Yeah.
I bought Angel Delight.
Okay.
Because we used to have it quite a lot when we were kids.
Yeah,
and I really like Angel Delight.
Yeah.
So I got chocolate, strawberry and banana.
Excellent.
I haven't made it yet, but we've got them. I'm like, actually, I'm going to make it tonight. Then it gets a bit weirder. Duck Whisperer then decided he needed a desk fan because it was only £4.
I saw that. I've got one of those. They're brilliant.
Yeah.
They're really good.
A desk fan. Because he was whinging that the girls in the office keep the heating on still in April, which to be fair, I probably would whinge about that as well. I would much prefer to have to wrap up in an office than be too hot in an office. So he bought a desk fan. And then finally, we bought Monopoly.
That was the thing I couldn't quite fathom.
It was only £15 for the full, normal game, full-size board. It also has a few different pieces. It has a dinosaur and a rubber duck.
Oh, that's
well, it's not a rubber duck. It's a metal version of a rubber duck.
That would appeal to Chris.
Yes, exactly.
Oh, sorry, the Duck Whisperer, not Chris. The Duck Whisperer.
The duck was huge on the front of the box, so obviously that's the first thing he went for was the duck.
So, did you end up at the checkout and the box with the duck on it followed you all the way?
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me.
Yes. So, a wonderful trip to Home Bargains. Didn't go what we went for. Didn't get what we went for, obviously. but got lots of other fun stuff. And then had a really fun game of Monopoly where I realised that the duck whisperer is a child and won't do deals with me if it means that there's a slight chance I could win.
Was it just the two of you playing?
It was just the two of us playing. I lost.
What?
I did that thing again where I got stuck in jail for 4 rounds and just couldn't buy anything. By the time I got out, he had bought everything and bought ones of everything as well. So I couldn't even make a set because he had bought one of everything.
Oh, that's just a bit spiteful.
Exactly. He's a child.
Well, you got to fight fire with fire.
Exactly.
So what's the top tip?
Go to Home Bargains and let Home Bargains decide what you're going to buy.
Okay. Very good. I've got a very short fun fact this week, you'll be pleased to know after that lengthy piece. Did you know cats are scared of cucumbers?
I did not know that.
No, I didn't. Apparently if you put a cucumber behind a cat, when it's eating, it appears to startle them, causing some cats to leap into the air in fright. And one expert has said it's because the cat mistakes the cucumber for a snake. Or, in my view, the cat sees what it is and the cucumber is the work of evil. It just taints everything within a 3-mile radius. And it just goes,
because my thought is that if it's an indoor cat and it's never been outside, is it still scared of a cucumber? Because obviously it doesn't know what a snake looks like.
Well, I don't think our cat's ever seen... Most cats won't have seen a snake.
Yeah.
But presumably it's got some sort of data bank of predators handed down over
From where?
Millennia.
It's not going to know what it looks like, though. It's not like it's not like a child and you do flashcards.
No, but it's evolution.
Mama cat's flashcarding the kittens in the crib.
Well, there must be... I mean, we talk about evolution. There must be some knowledge that's transferred between generations that's pre-wired into the brain.
I feel like a snake would have not been in there.
Well, what if they've been affected
Again,
by a
because
snake?
of evolution, cats aren't attacked by snakes regularly in the UK. So eventually, surely they'll just not even know a snake is a thing.
I'm not sure this is just the UK. Anyway, Wife of Grumpy's been shopping today. She has purchased some salad stuff, including a cucumber, and I will try it. And I'll try a variety of other things.
I, however, feel our deaf, dumb... She's not that dumb, to be fair. Deaf cat may not care.
No, I suspect not. No, just...
The other one may have cared more.
Well, the other one would have played with it, I think. That's it for this podcast. Thank you so much for listening.
You can help spread Lippy and Grumpy's view on life by leaving a review on your favourite podcast platform.
If you're not sure how to leave a review, or if you download from Spotify, there's some help at lippyandgrumpy.uk/review.
And if you would like to get in touch, email podcast@lippyandgrumpy.uk.
So it's goodbye from me.
And goodbye from him.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.